Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news and top stories. I am Onyi Opala. Let's begin. Heartbreaking letter has been received by Undaunted from the family of Abong Clifford, an Ambazonian from Maroua, who was kidnapped by La Republic to Cameroon Colonial Army 7 months ago. The family is at their wit's end, frustrated and desperate for any news about their loved ones' whereabouts and well-being. But according to the family, Abong Clifford was abducted by gendarmes from Maroua Brigade while simply passing by the Colonial Gendarmerie Brigade. He was detained for a short period before being sent to await trial, but only after his family was unable to pay the exorbitant sum of 1.5 million francs for his release. This blatant act of extortion and kidnapping has left the family traumatized and helpless. The family's plight is a deep dish of the countless Ambazonians who have suffered at the hands of La Republic de Cameroon's colonial regime. Abong Clifford's crime was merely being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and his family is now paying the price for his innocence. The story of Abong Clifford is just one of many that highlights the struggles and sufferings of the Ambazonian people. For years, they have been subjected to colonial rule, marginalization and oppression by La Republic de Cameroon government. The Ambazonian people have been denied their basic human rights, including the right to self-determination, freedom of speech and assembly. Many Ambazonians have been kidnapped, detained and tortured by the colonial regime, often without any justification or due process. Families have been torn apart and communities have been left to pick up the pieces. The economic and social fabric of Amazonia has been severely damaged, leaving many without access to basic necessities like healthcare, education and upgrade to life. The family of Abong Clifford is not alone in their struggle. There are countless other Ambazonian families who have suffered similar fate, and their stories need to be told. It is time for the world to take notice of the plight of the Ambazonian people and to demand justice for those who have been kidnapped, detained and oppressed. The La Republic de Cameroon government must be held accountable for its actions, and the Ambazonian people must be given the freedom to determine their own future. The release of Abong Clifford and all other kidnapped Ambazonians is a crucial step towards healing and reconciliation. As the Ambazonian people continue to suffer, like I would always say, it is essential that we show our support and solidarity with the cause. We must amplify their voices, share their stories, and demand justice for those who have been wronged. The world must recognize the right of the Ambazonian people to self-determination and freedom from colonial rule. Together, we all can make a difference and bring hope to the Ambazonian people. We must stand with them in the struggle for justice, freedom, and dignity. The release of Abong Clifford and all other kidnapped Ambazonia is just the beginning. It is time for the Ambazonian people to be free from colonial rule and to determine their own destiny. Well, these and more will bring on tonight's Undaunted. But first, let's bring the prime headlines. Tonight, we'll start with 2 men alleged to be Ambazonian fighters perishing in Pinyin through a mob justice. Family of Abong Clifford presses on La Republic de Cameroon colonial government to release their son in La Republic de Cameroon dungeon after 7 months of abduction. We'll take a walk to Maroua, where Ngoh Ngoh has been blocked from leaving, where youths are protesting government's neglect. Also tonight, the military in Bamenda and a self-proclaimed general of the ADF has been eliminated. On the African scene, M23 rebels seize control of the Kavumu airport, the edge closer to Bukavu. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia offers to mediate between the US and Iran in pursuit of new nuclear deal. Now let's get the news in full briefings. On the 15th of February, residents of Pinyin village in the Mixam County of the Midland Zone took extreme measures against two captured men alleged to be Ambazonian fighters. These fighters were beaten, dragged through the village and then set on fire at a roundabout in the area. The residents of Pinyin village confronted two men alleged to be Ambazonian fighters. These men were subjected to severe beatings and dragged through the streets before being set ablaze at a local roundabout. Eyewitnesses' videos captured the crowd sentiments, with voices stating, "This is just the beginning." Frustration and anger among civilians in the southern Cameroons are growing. For years, these communities have faced violence from both fake Ambazonian fighters group and colonial government forces. The 8-year war, rooted in long-standing issues of political and economic marginalization, escalated from peaceful protest into widespread violence, which has left many civilians in peril. Since the war intensified in 2017, imposter fighters have increasingly targeted civilians. An example in the case of the ADF self-proclaimed General JC, who was killed a few days ago in a hotel in Bamenda. That's a story we'll bring on later. But a report from the Colonial Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime and the Armed Conflict Location Event Data Project estimates that such groups were responsible for approximately 2,600 civilian deaths between 2017 and 2023. Many of these incidents included kidnappings and killings aimed at instilling fear and exerting control over local population. One particular tragic episode occurred on October 2020 when armed individuals attacked the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Kumba, resulting in deaths of 7 children and injuries to 13 others. While no group claimed responsibility, colonial authorities linked the attack to Ambazonian fighters enforcing school boycotts. The actions of controversial groups like the ADF, which have often operated in violence, has eroded trust in the genuine Ambazonian fighters, leaving civilians feeling trapped between two opposing sides. Their atrocious actions against the people they should be protecting is gradually turning to what we can call vigilantism, as seen in the Pinyin incident. And this is not just an isolated incident, because severally here, Ambazonians government, the government of Ambazonia, has tried to say the real fighters would not go ahead to hurt the people they are supposed to protect. So obviously these are men marked to be Ambazonian fighters. Barrister Ambazia, who is a seasoned barrister, has always been here to tell nothing but the truth, to also educate you on how you should know the right Ambazonian fighters. They do not just walk around aimlessly. That I know he has said here. Ambazonian fighters do protect their own, not to cause mayhem or damage. Barrister Ambazia, welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Well, thank you for having me once more. Again, we are here for another episode of our show to educate, to inform, and to tell people what they're supposed to do. If the story you put there is true, it is called mob justice. What is mob justice? Is it allowed or not? Every civilized community in the world, call it a country, a county, a city, is supposed to have a civilized security force. This implies that they have the mastery, they are able to arrest and detain people, possibly investigate and put them on trial. And so when you take the law into your own hands and decide to kill somebody who is a suspect on your own, you are a criminal yourself. So mob justice is not allowed. That's not allowed. Civilized governments, if you are a suspect for anything, they arrest you. And why is it government? Because they are supposed to have trained people who know how to master, to subdue, to bring to order even the greatest rebels. They are armed with guns. A suspect, like that one in particular, probably had 1 or 2 guns, but he was confronting 10 or 5, 20 officially trained gendarmes and policemen. Why kill the person? Why not just arrest the person? But they were not even there. It is mob justice, the population, taking their own laws into their own hands. Why are they doing this? Because it has been there forever. They have been doing mob justice in Douala, in Yaoundé, everywhere in Cameroon there. People kill people, they think they're criminals. They suspect you for killing a bunch of plantain, they kill you. You for taking a bottle of beer, they kill you. That is not allowed. That's not allowed. That's illegal. Those people who do those sort of things should be arrested themselves. The same thing goes with the vigilante. The vigilante. And so if you give them guns, they go down the street and kill people. They are criminals, not even the person who is being killed. Because the person who is killed cannot tell his or her own story. And so you, the person who is telling one-sided story because he carried a gun, you call him Amba, call him anything. You don't have the right to try it. You don't have the right to kill him or her. Your duty, if you're a civilized country, civilized army, civilized government, is to arrest people, take them to civilized courts, try them where they have the right to defend themselves before the rightful law, and giving them the necessary punishment. So calling them Amba fighters, there's no law in Cameroon or anywhere in the world where somebody who is supposed to be suspected for being an Amba fighter, I don't know what that means, should be shot and killed. That is not the law. It is not a law anywhere in the world. And so it is a mark of lawlessness. It is a mark of the government cooperating with criminals. Because you're not going to find them investigate the killers of that young man. Why did they kill him? There's no investigation for them to explain. If they call them up there to explain, nobody's going to charge them for doing anything wrong. Therefore, the government is conspiring in those sort of things. And they have not denied it. Because they themselves have admitted, in many cases, taking hostages. In many cases, employing vigilantes, like the one in Garbo, who went down and massacred people, burnt their houses, burnt their corpses. And so this is criminal government. It's not allowed. It's not enough again to call somebody to be an Ambazonian fighter. There's no law that if you see an Ambazonian fighter anyway, you should kill him or kill her. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. That's illegal. It's a mark of frustration. It should not have happened. So we are trying to judge that guy who is already dead. He's not there to tell his own version of the story. We don't know whether he was an Ambazonian fighter, even if he was one. We don't know what arms they could plant those things on him after they have killed him. And so it's just wrong. It's unacceptable. It is our goal to return to sanity, to return to legality in governance, in criminal investigation, and criminal punishments. That's about it. Vigilante, no, illegal, I've said that many times. Mob justice, illegal, I've said that many times. Kidnapping for ransom, I've said it's all wrong. And so it should not be allowed, not in Amazonia at the best, and not anywhere else in the world. Thank you.
Before we go past this, just wanted to ask, what are the measures that you think that the military, the Ambazonian military, probably their heads, could actually do to eliminate the fake fighters? Because the fake fighters are bringing bad name, bad reputation to the good work the real fighters are doing. as at last year, the real Ambazonian fighters would even go as far as donating books to schools. So that's just one reason that shows that they can't be the one causing pain and mayhem to the people that they are supposed to be protecting. So I am asking, from your point of view as a stakeholder in this war, what are the measures, the steps that these leaders of the different military in the ASA can take to ensure that the ugly heads of these fake fighters do not keep springing up?
Well, we've always said, as a point of as a duty, if you're an Ambazonian fighter, a true Ambazonian fighter, it's not going to do what you've been accused of. Because your first line of defense is the people. The people who are administering this mob justice are the people. They are the civilians. Why are they doing this? Because they have become helpless. And so if you are an Ambazonian fighter who in general is supposed to be a guerrilla, meaning that you live with the people, you don't commit those exactions that will turn the people against you. If they don't turn the people against you by killing you as they do in mob justice, they turn the people against you by turning you over to the enemy. This is not allowed. A proper, organized fighter in the terms of Ambazonia will train our people to be sure that they don't turn the population against themselves. Because the population is not their enemy. They are their enemy who are identifiable by the uniform they wear, by the officers they hold. These are the enemies. If you're not fighting them, and you're fighting your own brothers and sisters, fighting your own mothers and fathers, that is not the enemy. Fighting them does not mean killing them. For example, if you're extorting money from them, if you're doing something, anything that will hurt them, you are no longer a friend. You make yourself an enemy. And if you make yourself an enemy in a lawless state, you turn the population against you. Because it's a lawless state, they will take your life. They will help take your life by turning you over. Or they will take your life by themselves in the name of mob justice, when nobody will ever be there to tell your own story. The story I can tell about you, if I know you, is half the story. Because you're the one who knows what happened to you. So we cannot tell the story for you better than you. We cannot tell the story more than the people who did mob justice to you. But these people, no matter how angry they are not supposed to take the law into their hands. Because if you allow people to take the law into their own hands, as a community, as a country, the country falls into chaos. There's no order, there's no court, there's personal vendetta, some of which is really unjustified. Over to you.
Ambasia. Moving on, let's get to the family of Abong Clifford, where the family is trying to press, the Lao Republic to Cameroon government to release their son that has been in dungeon for about 7 months of abduction. The family was unable to pay the 1.5 million francs that was asked of them. So Undaunted received a letter from the family of an Ambazonian from Maroua, who was kidnapped by La Republic to Cameroon Colonial Army some 7 months ago. The family is frustrated for not being able to secure his release. According to a member, he says it's now 7 months since Abong Clifford was abducted by the gendarmes of Maroua Brigade. He was detained for a short while and then sent to a waiting trial after his family failed to pay the sum of 1.5 million francs for his release. Abong Clifford, only known for it is that he was passing in front of a Colonial gendarmerie brigade when one Colonial officer stopped him and asked him to get into the office. While inside the Colonial office, trumped up charges were forced on the innocent and unsuspecting 17-year-old child. He was accused of being an Ambazonian State Army. His family was asked to pay the sum of 1.5 million francs, but he was sent to a waiting trial because his family could not pay the money. It is 7 months now since he has been thrown into a waiting trial and no statement has been heard. The family has done everything for his release to no avail. So at this point, they are calling on security forces of La Republic to Cameroon to stop arresting children and framing them up with baseless charges. This is the express letter from the family. Clifford is just one of the so-called Ambazonians held in the La Republic to Cameroon dungeon. Now back to Barrister Mbesa. Barrister Mbesa, you remember last week or last 2 weeks, we talked about a young boy who was shot because he refused to give money to La Republic de Cameroon extorting gendarmes, remember? And a boy who was probably sent to go and buy, the report said, beans, and he was asked to pay some money, and he didn't pay that money. He was shot dead at the spot. We gave that report. This is another 17-year-old boy who has been wrongly, or who has been imprisoned. And I'm just wondering, is there no age to imprison children or teenagers? I thought there is an age, a universal age limit of at least 18 years. Why taunt and arrest innocent or young, unassuming teenagers? Is that how they operate, lawlessly and what have you?
Well, I've always said this. The version that you tell out there is not an arrest. No. They are pure adoptions. They're adopting people on the streets by force of arms, which is by itself illegal and criminal. An arrest is when you have a complaint filed against you. You are served with a warrant of arrest, and they take you into custody for questioning, which questioning has the limit to go. You must be led or bail. But once you take their people who go down the streets with their vehicles, military trucks, military police vans, catching people on the streets, that is pure adoption, because those are not arrests. They're adopting them from the streets because they suspect they have done something, or they simply want to adopt them and extort money from them. In this case, it is pure extortion. Because if the story is true, why do they want him to pay 1.5 million? Why do they even want him to pay 50,000? For what? Is that a court? Taking the guy into custody, is that a court? If they pay that 1.5 million or 50,000 or 100,000, are they going to be issued an official receipt? Would that money ever go into the treasury? No. Cameroon is governed by some laws. At least they claim to have some laws. They have the criminal procedure code. How to arrest somebody, how to keep someone in detention, and what to do if the person is there. This is supposed to be overseen by somebody, a legal officer called the State Council. Has this followed the same procedure? No. Cameroon law requires that if you adopt somebody, if you catch somebody, or if you arrest somebody in Bamenda, in Mezam, for example, you should be tried in a court where he or she committed the alleged offense. Is this guy still there, or they have illegally moved him to Yaoundé in the pretext that he's an Amba, in the pretext that he has committed this or that crime? That is not possible. Yes, age is important, but this is not even a question of age. If you do this thing to an adult, you are wrong. It is even still worse when you do it to a child, somebody who is a child. How do you determine whether somebody is a child? He might be looking big, he might be physically looking strong, but that does not make him an adult. You have to investigate the guy alleges, I'm only 15. Some 15-year-old guys are bigger than 30-year-old men. And so you have to investigate those things. They are not doing it. They are simply adopting people for money. And I've given the examples of what they do. They catch you in the street, as in the case of that gentleman, or you're sleeping in your bed and they come with something they call kale kale. You by itself is illegal. Adopt you from your sleeping bed, take you somewhere, extort money from you. What do they ask from you when they adopt you like that? The first thing they ask you to do is to produce your identity card. Is there any law in Cameroon as a whole that shows that when you go to bed to sleep, you should carry an identity card with you? There's no law like that. IDs are meant for you to help you do official transactions. So if you go to do an official transaction, they ask for your ID. They don't meet you in your house sleeping and they catch you and say you have an identity card. That's just adoption. The idea is to extort money from you, which is wrong. It is illegal. It is the work of an out of control government with their forces. And so that's not what we should go through. Clifford, in the eyes of the law, is still a suspect. If I told you he's a suspect, he has done nothing wrong. The person is not guilty just because the gendarme committed this or that crime. You have to go before the court and prove it. You have to go before the court and the person defends himself. That is not what is happening here. So again, what happened to Clifford and it has happened to many others is not an arrest. They are adoption. Adoptions in court are illegal anywhere in the world. Legitimate government, illegitimate government, you don't adopt people from their houses. You don't adopt people from the streets and hold them hostage. That's adoption for ransom. Because you become a hostage. If you don't pay this money, you don't go free. You're a hostage. They hold you hostage until you pay something. We don't give you any receipt. So that is what it is. It should not happen to us. It should not happen to anybody. Most particularly, it should not happen to Ambazonians. Because they're using the war song as a weapon to adopt people and extort money from them. Which money are you going to have said? They issue no receipts to you. If you give a piece of paper, it's not an official receipt. It doesn't go to the treasury. So they are all thieves. That criminal adoption for which those who do it should be held accountable. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. We've dealt on this, and I'm sure that in the subsequent days we'll see other reports that we'll also use to highlight this particular incident. Moving on, the youth of Maroua seems not to be silenced with all of the pain and neglect they go through. And so the people of Maroua in the Cameroons have had enough, and they are making their voices heard. Recently, they chased away Ngoh Ngoh, the Secretary General of the Presidency, and refused to listen to him. The reason behind this bold move is the sheer frustration and desperation that the Cameroons are feeling. They are hungry, thirsty, and tired of being neglected by their government. The fact that Ngoh Ngoh arrived in a helicopter with a red carpet rolled out for him was just the final straw. The people felt it was a blatant display of extravagance and disregard for the struggle of the people. The youth of Maroua were particularly fed up with the situation, and they took matters into their own hands. They blocked Ngoh Ngoh from entering his helicopter, forcing him to spend the night in a place he didn't want to be. This incident is a clear indication of the growing discontent amongst Cameroonians, particularly in the northern region, not just in the Ambazonian side, that they feel that their government is out of touch with their needs and is more concerned with maintaining its own power and privilege. The situation in the Cameroons is indeed there, with many people struggling to access basic necessities like food, water, and healthcare. The government's failure to address these issues has led to widespread frustration and anger. The fact that Ngoh Ngoh was summoned to court last year for, usurpation of function and cumulative functions is a testament to the growing discontent with the government's actions. As the population of Maroua continues to grow with over 205 people living in the city, the need for effective governance and leadership becomes increasingly urgent. The people of Maroua are not just angry or hungry and thirsty, they are also thirsty for change and eager for a government that truly represents their interests. The incident with Ngoh Ngoh is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's clear that 2025 will be a pivotal year for the Cameroons. The government needs to take heed of the people's demands and work towards addressing their grievances. Otherwise, their situation could escalate further, leading to unrest and instability in all of these areas. Barrister Ambazonian, they refused, the youth are speaking up. They have refused to be taken for fools. What would you say about, especially the video where they came and stopped him from flying?
Well, I think there's a lot behind what you're reporting. See, there's a French saying that nothing is impossible in Cameroon. Cameroon is a country very unique in the world. Unique for impossibilities being possible. Now, what happened there is one of the greatest signs of people trying to impose themselves, imposters, adventurers taking over the whole country. Who is Ngoh Ngoh in the first place? Ngoh Ngoh, the current minister, in terms of protocol, but he's not a minister. He doesn't have a ministerial function. What is he? He's just a secretary general at the presidency. A man who gathers the president's mayors, arranges them. That's his function. He's not a government minister. But of course, he goes to that place flying in a helicopter. Atangaji was there. Did he go in a helicopter? He was supposed to be a minister of state in charge of territorial administration. And I'm not sure that Atangaji ever went there in a helicopter. But above all, Ngoh Ngoh went there in a helicopter. You find them there, in spite of the poverty of the people. They were rolling a red carpet on which Ngoh Ngoh, the Secretary General of the Presidency, will walk on. Where on earth does a Secretary of the Presidency walk on a red carpet? Red carpets are significant politically. He's not the head of state. He's not even the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister hardly even does that. Then he goes there, they roll a red carpet for him and put it even though on the sand and mud. What does it show? It shows imposture. Somebody trying to impose himself as a political leader. A Secretary General in the presidency is not a political leader. He's purely a technician who gathers mayors for the president. That's all his function. You can give him any protocol place, but he's barely a guy in the presidency who gathers mayors and does all those communications pass through him for the president and pass through him from the president to outside. That's just all. You don't need to roll a red carpet for him. But above all, in addition to red carpet, Ngoh Ngoh inspected a guard of honor. That was everything in Cameroon which is impossible anywhere in the world, is possible in Cameroon. Whereas in the world, the Secretary Generals in the presidency inspect guards of honor. Even the Prime Minister of Cameroon does not inspect guards of honor mounted by the military. Because the military owe allegiance only to one person. The head of the military is the president of the country, is the commander-in-chief, not the Secretary General. Mr. Paul Biya can delegate most of his functions, but he cannot delegate the function of commander-in-chief of the Cameroon army. For this guy to be doing inspecting a guard of honor, that is just imposture. And of course, the people held him down, much to his surprise. Because before this event happened, sometime last week, there was something they were trying to create a park over there, the main resistance. What's a park? A park is where animals are reserved. Wild animals, you keep them there. Then they created a park where people live. Two things might be thinking. They might be thinking that these people who live there are just animals. So they can live in the park. They can be included in the park. That might be their thinking. Or, if they must create a park, there's a procedure for creating a park, for example. If people are living there, you first move the people out, get them to different settlements, then you create a park for animals. But they didn't do that. And the people have not resisted. They take it lying down. And then they find them what is at stake now. Saying that, well, at least you have come here today, you listen to us. If you don't listen to us, you're not going to go away. And what they're doing is they see the pictures of the sheriff. They are government officials, CPDM people, tying their flag on their buttocks to show that they are mayors, to show that they are whatever thing in official positions. If they are official position, the whole are in this very government. And they have turned this into anger, demonstrated publicly. It speaks larger to the thing that there's no government there. If there were any government there, no Secretary General would even go there doing what he was trying to do. That's the job of the president, politically. If the president cannot do it, he should delegate it to somebody who is competent to do it in the political hierarchy, not in the administrative hierarchy. The Secretary General in the presidency is in the administrative hierarchy. He is not in the political hierarchy. He's barely an administrator. Arranging mails, receiving mails is administration. It's not political. Send the Prime Minister, who is there by official terms, constitution is outlined there. He executes government policy. To go out and explain what the government policy is about, what they are complaining about. Not the Secretary General. Not the Secretary General, sir. So, these people are just out of control. Totally out of control. But, again, people who have thought that these people in the north and the far north are just stupid, might have been mistaken. These people might look like people who follow cows, but they're not cows. They're human beings. Like one of them come to the same school that all of us went to. They have degrees in their backs. They have money too. So they are not as stupid as Ngoh Ngoh thinks. They are not as stupid as some of their CPDM allies think. These are the people who have some rights. And one of them is up there. He's supposed to be the Speaker of the National Assembly. I say supposed. And I remember him officially saying something publicly that quand le chien aboie et le caravan passe, that the dog is barking while the caravan passes. Why? These are dogs barking, and his caravan of administration is passing unperturbed. Can he say so again? Those are his brothers, those are his cousins, those are his own children in his own very region doing that. Can he again deceive himself that they're just barking and the caravan is passing? To the best of my knowledge, no. They're just wrong. These people deserve some respect, at least to be listened to. Listening to them is what they need. The next action is doing what they want, which the government will never ever do anyway. If they were ever to do it, it will never be done through Ngoh Ngoh. Never. Ngoh Ngoh as administrative secretary in the prime minister in the presidency doesn't have the power to execute those things. Nothing. If the president has something to execute, he will send it to the rightful minister in charge. He will pass it to the head of his government to undo it, not to an administrative secretary. You see, we used to have a post of president, secretary general in the president office. We used to call it executive administrative officer in the prime minister's office. He's just an administrative officer in the prime minister's office in West Cameroon, or
Yes.
administrative officer.
Let me
at the
ask you a
presidency.
question, please. Let me ask you a question before you continue. So, are you saying that the youth should channel their energies to some other leader? Are you saying that Ngoh Ngoh will not be able to do anything tangible for them? Basically, is that what you're trying to pinpoint here?
Ngoh Ngoh is not charged with doing anything by virtue of the office he holds. If the president gives him 1 billion to put in his private pocket and go and do those things, it is still wrong. It's still wrong. Because his function is administrative officer at the presidency. What the people are asking up there is not administrative, no. They are executing government policy, constructing roads there, building bridges, putting up schools. Those are not the functions of the administrative secretary or the secretary general at the presidency. They are
fellow Ambazonians, my patriotic greetings to everyone. I just want to point out or remind us of this, that working with common sense, it's very important. In the US now, there is a new administration, and the new administration puts together its policies and the priority programs the first 100 days. If anybody is serious about anything the person is doing, is to put yourself on the agenda of the people of the new administration in the first 100 days. I am very happy to tell you that your government of the Southern Cameroons is focused, is working on this day and night. Day and night. Even though you don't know, you're not hearing, I just pity President Sako because I don't even know if he sleeps. So the top priority, my people, is for us to put ourselves on the radar, on the table of the new administration in various quarters, on all quarters that are important. So that is a focus. Now, if we miss this, then we have missed the whole year, and of course, maybe the next 4 years, because they will not prioritize us. So if you love your government, if you love what we are doing, please give the government, give the president chance to focus and land Ambazonia, the government of the Southern Cameroons, on the chart, on the map, on the table, in this administration. That is the focus now, this first 100 days. Should you abandon that to address nonsense, which is only a distraction, and that will create more confusion and take time away from us hitting the nail when it is hot to put the Ambazonian struggle in the minds of this new administration? Let's have some common sense. Let's have some common sense. It is easy to talk. Don't be emotional. All these things you talk about are known, and the president is addressing them in a timed manner that would not be a disadvantage to all of us. So please do not, out of emotion, help La Republique more by your utterances than you trying to build without alternatives. It is easy to talk. Governance is not easy. Government of the Southern Cameroons is at work. It's really at work. You may not know. There's a lot going on to hit a home run with this administration. Please give the president, give the government a chance to put our case forcefully in the radar of this administration. Please, God bless Ambazonia.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
the moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republique has succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia. Donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.
Fellow Ambazonians, my patriotic greetings to everyone. I just want to point out or remind us of this, that working with common sense, it's very important. In the US now, there is a new administration, and the new administration puts together its policies and the priority programs the first 100 days. If anybody is serious about anything the person is doing, is to put yourself on the agenda of the people of the new administration in the first 100 days. I am very happy to tell you that your government of the Southern Cameroons is focused, is working on this day and night, day and night. Even though you don't know, you're not hearing, I just pity President Sako, because I don't even know if he sleeps. So the top priority, my people, is for us to put ourselves on the radar, on the table of the new administration in various quarters, on all quarters that are important. So that is a focus. Now, if we miss this, then we have missed the whole year, and of course, maybe the next 4 years, because they will not prioritize us. So if you love your government, if you love what we are doing, please give the government, give the president chance to focus and land Ambazonia, the government of the Southern Cameroons, on the chart, on the map, on the table, in this administration. That is the focus now, this first 100 days. Should you abandon that to address nonsense, which is only a distraction, and that will create more confusion and take time away from us hitting the nail when it is hot to put the Ambazonia struggle in the minds of this new administration? Let's have some common sense. Let's have some common sense. It is easy to talk. Don't be emotional. All these things we talk about are known, and the president is addressing them in a timed manner that would not be a disadvantage to all of us. So please do not, out of emotion, help La Republique more by your utterances than you trying to build without alternatives. It is easy to talk. Governance is not easy. Government of the Southern Cameroons is at work. It's really at work. You may not know. There's a lot going on to hit a home run with this administration. Please give the president, give the government a chance to put our case forcefully in the radar of this administration. Please, God bless Ambazonia.
Right, sincerest apologies for that breaking transmission. We had a few technical issues, but it's been sorted out now, and we'll try to get back into the discussion of tonight. Very stand base here. Your last statement, I'm sure, wasn't clear enough because of the technical logout that we had, but here we are back in this discussion. Would you want to finish up what you were saying so that we can have all of the detail of everything from your point of view tonight? Yes, please, go ahead.
People like the Prime Minister and other government officials not listening. And so if this is even wrong, if they Ngoh Ngoh carry $1 billion to go there and say, I'm coming to give you this money for a road, that is not how the administration works. It's just an imposture on the people. And I said earlier that these are people who are defined authority there. And I said among those Nordies is the Speaker of the National Assembly, who had said a year or two ago that the Shen Abua the caravan passes. That's why the dog is barking where the caravan passes unperturbed. And so can they say that these are people who are just barking dogs? These are people carrying CPDM attires, carrying government official things as mayors, as governors. And so they are just getting out of the cave. They are getting out of the reality of things. And as I said, the disagreement started about 2 weeks or more ago when they claimed that they wanted to put a park there. What's a park? A park is a reserved bush for animals. They might have been thinking that these people up there, they are just animals remain in the park. Maybe because they rear cattle. They think that they have become cattle themselves. That they will just come and put a park. They don't consider them. Because they consider them when they are put in a park, wherever you are going to, you have to first move the human population out of that area. You settle them somewhere, and then you can create a park for animals. But if you are creating a park where people are living without resettling the human beings, it means you consider those people animals themselves. Again, that is imposture. But I think that these people you saw up there, are rising. They have risen up to the point that they can tell you, yes, we might rear cows, but we're not cows. We might rear animals, we might be animal breeders, but we're not animals ourselves. They know what the road is. They have gone to the same schools like most of us. They know what a good school is like. And so, Ngoh Ngoh, in terms of human education, is not better than any of them. They know those things. They should stop pretending. They should stop pretending, because they're trying to create the image of a poor bear through a certain guy called Ngoh Ngoh, speaking, wearing the robes of Paul Biya, the president they elected. They elected the president, they didn't elect Ngoh Ngoh. And so that's what I'm trying to say, that the whole thing is orchestrated to showcase, to impose a certain thing. And now you must remember that this is an election year, 8 months, 9 months to elections, where they are saying that a certain invisible power will become the president. Who is this invisible power bear? The invisible power bear to be president in October is nothing short of Ngoh Ngoh, or somebody being manufactured in the robes of Paul Biya and imposed on the people in the name of Paul Biya or CPDM. That's all it is about. Because why has Ngoh Ngoh not gone there for the past 7 years since they elected his master in 2018? Not gone there. He's gone there now just to make a campaign, fly in a plane, and they told him, well, if you want, we wish you could drive. Why didn't you drive and come and see us here? He flew in the plane to come and meet us here. I want to fly in the plane and go out. You're not going. And he didn't show his strength. He didn't show his bravery to fly out the plane. He remained there. Show that whatever thing Ngoh Ngoh does, it's a human being. He's subject to the people. People can bend him left or right. People can kick him out if they want to. And so there's only a limit to which you can manipulate human beings. There's an end to that nonsense, which I can say the people of the North showed him the limit to which they can go with these manipulations. Over to you.
Barrister Mbese, thank you so much. And just one more report for us to talk about this evening before I let you go. So the Colonial security forces from La Republic to Cameroon have successfully eliminated General JC, a key commander of the ADF. Now, this happened during an operation at the Lira Hotel in Savannah Zone of Bamenda. JC, formerly a bodyguard for late political leader Ni John Frundi, had betrayed him severally and was involved in violent acts, including the Nacho Junction massacre. So this report says that on the 13th of February, Colonial security forces of La Republic to Cameroon took down the General JC, whose real name is known as Funwi Christopher, at the Lira Hotel in Bamenda, owned by certain chain liners. The hotel is alleged to have served as a lucrative business center where imposter fighters of the ADF and its kind have secretly been carrying out some kidnappings for ransom. The deceased was once a bodyguard for the well-known late political figure. However, he reportedly betrayed Frundi and was involved in severe abductions that contributed to the leader's downfall. Now, that was what we got from reports. Reports said that he involved in severe abductions that contributed to the leader's downfall. Experts have pointed out the troubling charge and change in JC's role, going from prosecutor to militant leader. His time as a commander including the tragic Nacho Junction massacre before in July 2023, where gunmen under his command killed 10 civilians. The Lira Hotel where JC was found is now under investigation for possibly helping ADF operations. Reports suggest that the hotel owner, Chain Liners, may have profited from ransom payments tied to kidnappings. With JC gone, there are still concerns about what will happen to the ADF, especially since its leader, Ayabacho Liners, Lucas, is currently in detention in Norway on serious charges. For the Ambazonian population, this operation is seen as an important step in the fight against the violence that has affected their lives for far too long. Many are hopeful that maybe, just maybe, this action will lead to a better security and stability. Bryce Ambazia, do you agree that this can lead to, a better stability when it comes to security issues, especially as it regards to kidnapping for ransom?
Well, I don't think it should be especially to kidnapping and ransom. No. I think we're all agreed, at least most of us, that the ADF, whoever operates for the ADF, most particularly in Benzan and Bui and Momo for the past several years, they are no strangers to the defense forces. They are their allies because they exchange positions. You know them very, very well. So they must have known this guy. You knew him and he knew them. They are their allies. These are the people, for example, who kidnapped Senator Mundi through her car and drove it through the streets to somewhere, passing government control checkpoints, and they were not caught. So the government knows them. These are people who purportedly killed Kemonde, or the government killed Kemonde. Whoever killed Kemonde, Kemonde had a car, had a jeep, which they drove through the streets, through checkpoints, to a particular point in their own camp, passing government control checkpoints. At least if the version of Capo Daniel is true, which I think it is. Then the point I'm trying to say is that these people are not new. They are not new to government forces. They will go down to one thing. They have been cooperating with the government forces. They work hand in hand. And the government has a theory, use and dump. After using him for as long as they wished, they found that they no longer needed him. They dumped him. They dumped him by doing what? By killing him. But most importantly, where was he killed? according to this story, was killed in a hotel. Is there any retro ASA guy, fighter, who in Bamenda, or in Boya, or in any city will go and lodge in a hotel? Is there one? I doubt it. They live in hiding. They will not go and book rooms in the hotel. And so it only goes to the speculation that this guy certainly was known by the administration, was recognizable by the government forces. After using him to do what they did for several months or for several years, they found out they no longer needed him. They just simply took him out. They use and dump policy. We don't care whether he was the personal defense guy, a bodyguard to Fundi or not. In fact, he was a bodyguard to Fundi. They only ask for credentials, but this guy is well known. He's well known in town. And who else will know the personal bodyguards of Fundi more than the administration? Fundi was not living in the bush, he was living in town. Fundi was even living in Yaoundé. He was living in a secure place. And they knew his personal bodyguard, who turned out to become an ADF, another arm of the government. Because he didn't start doing his kidnapping today. He had been doing it for long. And again, if I may speculate, we have been talking about the ICC. The ICC is coming after people, among them people like this guy who has been killed. Because the ICC is a double sword. And if they didn't dump him, if they didn't eliminate him, it will be a source of evidence. It will be a witness. Some of the crimes that were alleged have been committed against Ambazonians. And so, like Moja, they take you out after they have used you. So, that's all I can say about that. It is clear it was ADF. The question we must ask is, how did he survive for so long? Living publicly in town, living in hotels, driving vehicles, where if there's any control in the world in Ambazonia, 90% of Meza, 90% of Bamenda town is completely secured by the government forces. So how did a rebel, unknown to them, operate there so freely, living in hotel rooms and pay money and walking away? My conclusion is he was just one of them. That when it came the time to dump him, they dumped him, and the best way to dump him was to eliminate him, because that would eliminate the physical evidence, the intellectual evidence that this guy could give against his accomplices. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Mbasia. Thank you so much for standing by, even in the face of the technical hitches we have there. Thank you so much for understanding with Undaunted. This is where we'll let you go, where we'll wrap up the remaining reports for the evening. Thank you so much for being part of Undaunted tonight. Coming up next is news of West Africa. Well, let's get to the M23 rebels seizing control of Dakar Vumu Airport edge closer to Bukavu. So in a very high significant development, Rwanda-backed M23 fighters have taken control of the Kavumu Airport, a crucial military barrier in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The airport, which serves the city of Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu province, was the last major obstacle standing in the way of the rebel forces and the city. Well, according to reports, the Congolese army has pulled back from the airport, and some troops have even retreated from the city's main military camp. Residents in the northern part of Bukavu have reported seeing the rebels on the streets, sparking fears of further instability and violence in the region. The M23 rebels have been making significant gains in recent weeks, having seized Goma, the latest city in the East Senmon. If they manage to capture Bukavu, it will be a major blow to the Congolese government's authority in the East. Meanwhile, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi has warned of the risks of a wider war in the country, citing the M23 rebels' advances as a major concern. Speaking at the Munich Security Conference, Tshisekedi called for international support to help stabilize the region and the country and prevent further conflict. The world is growing increasingly concerned about the situation in the DRC. The United Nations has condemned the M23 rebels' action, calling for an immediate ceasefire and the withdrawal of all armed groups from their country. The conflict in the DRC has already led to a significant humanitarian crisis, with thousands of people displaced and in need of aid. The seizure of Kavumu Airport and the potential fall of Bukavu could exacerbate the situation, leaving even more people without access to basic necessities like food, water, and shelter. The situation in the DRC has what we can tag as regional implication, with neighboring countries like Rwanda and Uganda watching the developments closely. The M23 rebels' advances could have a destabilizing effect on the entire nation, potentially leading to further conflict and instability. In Mali, a devastating incident occurred in Mali on Saturday, where over 40 people, mostly women, lost their lives after an illegal gold mine collapsed near Keneba in the western gold-rich Kayes region. The victims were searching for scraps of gold in open pit areas left by industrial miners when the earth caved in. Well, according to a gold miner union leader who spoke to Reuters and newsmen, this tragic event highlighted the dangers and risks associated with the artisanal mining, which is a significant sector in Mali, Africa's third largest gold producer. The country's artisanal mining sector is even unregulated, with many miners ignoring safety measures, particularly in remote areas, leading to such devastating incidents. The Mali government has been trying to bring order to the sector to prevent further incidents and accidents, but it's a challenging task given the economic importance of mining and gold mining to the country, with over 2 million people relying on the mining sector for their livelihood. Well, Africa seems to be in chaos. Let's see across the globe what's happening. Saudi Arabia has expressed its willingness to mediate between the Trump administration and Iran in an effort to negotiate a new deal to limit Tehran's nuclear program. The kingdom's offer comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran continues to escalate, with both sides engaging in a war of words and diplomatic maneuvering. Well, according to sources, Saudi Arabia is concerned that Iran may be more inclined to pursue a nuclear weapon. Now that its regional proxies have been significantly weakened, the kingdom hopes to leverage its close ties with President Donald Trump to provide Iran with a diplomatic bridge to the White House and to secure a seat at the negotiating table for a potential new deal. The move underscores Raider's desire to build on its improved relations with its former foe and to play a key role in shaping the future of the Middle East. While Trump has expressed his desire to enter into talks with Iran, the message from Tehran has been mixed, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei saying last week that talks with the U.S. were not smart. Saudi Arabia's offer to mediate between the U.S. and Iran is seen as a strategic move to reduce tensions in the country and also to promote a long-lasting connection with the other regions that are stabilized by these actions. Well, that's not all. By also offering what we can call a connecting right, we'll just round up here because of some technical issues. Well, we can say that it is heartbreaking to think that the potential loss of Ukraine's cultural heritage, which is such an important part of the country's identity, is lacking at this point, and Saudi Arabia hopes to gain a seat at the negotiating table and to influence the outcome of any of these potentials that may come. And this is where we draw the curtains on tonight's Undaunted. Well, special thanks to the technical crew for trying to handle all of these situations and difficulties we are facing tonight. It's good night and God bless.